Hey there, I'm Dan Moulthrop, Curator of Conversation at the Civic Commons, talking with George Lichman. He's I did pronounce your last name right?
Lichman.
Lichman. All right, well, okay. I was trying to make it all fancy sounding, but it's just Lichman. Okay. George is a blogger at the 30-Year Itch, and he does a number of other things as well. He's a police officer. In which town again?
Rocky River.
Rocky River police officer. And George, you and I were exchanging emails earlier today wanting to talk about the new county government and exactly what you hope to get out of it.
That's right.
Yeah, why did that strike you? What was the impetus?
Well, yesterday in the Plain Dealer, there was an article that indicated that our new county executive appointed a man to be in charge of regionalization. I don't believe they used that term, but it was to get the communities in Cuyahoga County to collaborate a lot more together with the hope of cost savings and better service and better planning for the entire county.
Right, that was Ed Jurse, who was named the Director of Regional Collaboration, I think.
That's right. He worked for the city of Lakewood, I believe, prior.
Mm-hmm. I saw that article. I thought it was pretty interesting. What struck you about it?
Well, I work for a local government, and like all local governments, especially in Northeast Ohio, we've been having quite a difficult time with budgets. Now, I don't deal directly with the budget, but I know that they asked for a concession in our contract for the year 2011 so that we didn't get our raise. Everything worked out okay, and we came to an agreement. But nonetheless, I know other cities are far worse off than Rocky River, and it just seems that regionalization, combining a lot of services, or at least combining efforts at recruiting businesses and job growth and planning and things for the area, would help all the cities. And since I work for a city government, it is of particular interest to me how they go about doing that.
So what are your concerns? I mean, if say the Rocky River Police Department was consolidated to be the Rocky River Bay Village Lakewood Police Department, how would you feel about that? I mean, is that what you're worried about, or is that what you're hoping for?
A little of both, I suppose. The worries come from, job loss, which I shouldn't personally have a problem with, but many of my colleagues may fear that. Mm-hmm. But it could also be a lot better because a bigger department could offer more opportunities in terms of police work for each officer. Mm-hmm. Other downside is there is something to be said for a small local department where you're on a much more intimate knowledge with the community you serve and the people who live there. Mm-hmm. So those are, there could be a lot that comes from it, primarily saving money for the governments, but also providing a lot of job opportunities that may not exist mm-hmm. in a small department. But I also know that city governments are very wary of it because they give up control of the service to their citizens. And if you regionalize too much, mm-hmm. I think the concern is what's the point of myriad local governments when you could have one county government that replaces a lot of what the local governments do.
Mm-hmm. So do you talk about this with your colleagues in the police department?
We do, but more in terms of how it would affect our jobs, in terms of we could have a larger detective bureau and larger specialty units, which would make mm-hmm. the job much more interesting, potentially more interesting mm-hmm. for some of the local officers.
Mm-hmm. What about, what do you think this new director of regional collaboration, Ed Jurse, what do you think he should do? I mean, how should he proceed?
Taking my personal interest out of it for law enforcement, I think the first thing they need to do is work on bringing and keeping and bringing jobs to Cuyahoga County. And mm-hmm. I think that with the cities getting together more as a team to work on how they're going to attract business fairly, but mm-hmm. also effectively to the area should mm-hmm. probably be number one.
Well, let me ask you about that in particular, and we can get to numbers 2, 3, and 4 in a second. But if you are the mayor of a given city or whatever it is, I mean, and you want to get that business to come to your city so that you can have the tax revenue from that business, right? The payroll taxes, maybe the increase in property sales tax because property values rise a little bit. Maybe the sales tax from all the people who work there buying lunch somewhere and buying groceries on their way home or whatever it is. How do you then make that a benefit for other communities that are neighboring?
Well, I don't know exactly. I think that is one of the things that they need to talk about. But I know that some communities have say a lot of doctors' offices, and some communities have a lot of industrial, and some have next to no business in their nice, quiet bedroom communities. And I think some of those communities don't want the industry in their city. But I think if they can get together, they can make those kind of decisions about where they want their particular community or even sub-region, I guess, east side, west side, south side, what direction they'd like that area to take. You know, some cities have resources that others don't. Rocky River has a highway that goes right through, but we only have one entrance and one exit for the entire city, so that may not do well for certain businesses that require, say, trucking to come in and out. It could be difficult, whereas other communities may be better able to handle that based on their infrastructure.
Well, so what's number two and number three then? If economic development sort of coordination is number one on your list, what's number two and three?
Two and three, I think, would be cost savings,
Consolidation
tax
of services?
potentially, yes. I think that we are right now. A lot of us are blaming our recession that started back in 2008 and our slow economic recovery for the decrease in the tax basis for the cities. But I think looking at it more long term, I don't know that we're going to get the recovery that we're hoping for in the next 2 to 3 years. I think that might take 5 or 10 years if it even comes. I think it might be time for local governments to start preparing to always be doing more with less and not viewing this decreased revenue as a temporary situation. Therefore, perhaps some consolidation of city services would be in order. If they don't want to start with something as big as police and fire, try garbage, all those kind of things. There's a lot of equipment, a lot of people who do the work and work real hard, and I think that they could be utilized more efficiently. And I would say, I hope you don't mind me going because I don't want to forget.
No, no.
I am also I would like to see some of this done with minimal or even no privatization of government services. I think that there are certain things that government does belong in, and I know that that's a huge political debate right now, national, state, and local levels about privatization.
Sure.
But I think particularly at the local level, there are businesses that government belongs in. Common businesses, things that we all rely on: fire protection, police protection, garbage, sewers, water distribution. All of those things I think the government belongs in. And I also think privatization is a short-term fix. I think that once governments get themselves out of, say, garbage collection, sell off all their garbage trucks, sell off all their employees to the private company then basically can raise rates at the next contract, and the city is so far out of being able to retake over those services that they would kind of be beholden to that private organization. I also think if there's room for a profit, then there's room for governments to make it more efficient and do it without a profit.
Interesting. Anything else you think that that regional collaboration director Ed Jurist should be thinking about?
No, those are the three things. I'm interested to see how regionalism can help the area, and I think it's very possible. And even if it started in small ways, like economic planning and working together for infrastructure repairs, I think that the time has come. And if we don't do it now, while we still have some choices, we're going to have to do it in 15 or 20 years when choices are fewer.
Do you think it's going to take 15 to 20 years, or do you think they're actually coming a lot quicker?
I don't know, but maybe 15 to 20 years is optimistic, but I think that we're not going to have the money that we used to have, I'm afraid. And until we can revamp our economy and get either more jobs, more industry jobs, or change our economy to where everybody has opportunities for better jobs, then tax bases, I don't think, are going to grow as quickly as we'd like.
All right. George Lichman, Rocky River police officer and blogger at the 30-Year Itch. Safe to say that you're blogging about this already, or you will right after this call?
I will be this probably today, maybe tomorrow.
All right. Well, I'll post this up on the civiccommons.com, and you can post a link to the blog. All right?
That'd be great. Thank you, Dan.
George, thank you. Take care.